Yes, he's finally gone. Liam Manning is out the door. Welcome back to our Canaries Walk. It's 20 minutes of this week. Not talking about a depressing result. We're looking forward to the future now. But who should be coming through the door next? And should Knapper be the person making that decision? What style of manager do we want? We're going to look at the betting odds with Matty, Tom, Killian and James and look back at that Leicester game as well. Hope you're all doing well. We've got already mixed views. Pete says go all out and get Carrick. Julian says Gary O'Neill times 1,000. What do you think? Yes, so please not Russell Martin. I think we're all unanimous on Knapper to go as well. Plus we'll look at the Fair Play League. How dirty are Norwich as well? Because we're looking at the letter F this week. And of course, Matty, there's been a fair few Fs muttered in Carrow Road. I mean, do you even care about the result now? It's had the effect it needed to happen. I mean, seven straight losses at home. What's your overriding feelings about what's transpired this weekend?
I do care about the result in as much as it's a record we've now inherited that no one else has in terms of the amount of losses at home to start the season. So it's embarrassing, really, the fact that we're in this position in the first place. Yeah, he's gone and it's the right decision, but it probably should have come sooner. So it is, yes, it's the right decision. It's too late though. And the fact that we're in this position where we've got this record is just, it's a shambles, really, considering how much money we spent in the summer and all of the hype that they gave it. So it doesn't make Saturday's result any better, I don't think.
Tom, do you think if Leicester had got that win, it would have happened still with the draw?
No. I think everything that was pointing towards the noise that came out of the club, whether it was rumours, whether it were reports or whether it was truth, I think there was a real sort of, we're sticking by Manning, we're sticking by Knapper, we're sticking by the board. And I think actually only the scenes of the protests after the game and actually the manner of the defeat, I think that's what made them act. I'd be really interested to understand who pulled the trigger. But I think had we have drawn, I don't think they would have done it.
Yeah. Rugg says it's not enough though, Killian. Announce the departure of Knapper and Webber too, and then we'll talk. Yeah. For you, does more heads need to roll in the coming days? And can you see it happening or not?
Yeah, I do think a few more will go. I think that it wasn't just down to Manning, and I can't see a Knapper has any credibility having failed with a second manager. To be honest, quite honest, I think he needs to go.
Do any of you have sympathy for Liam Manning?
Yeah. Do you know what? I think towards the end, don't get me wrong, I think he snapped back to sort of Paddy Davitt a little bit in his post-match yesterday about, give him some respect and some headspace post-game. And I don't think his tactics helped him or substitutions helped him yesterday. But to Matty's point, it should have been done way before now. And he was a broken man. It was inevitable. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there was any chance of him ever turning the fans around. Even if we'd have gone and won 5 on the bounce, I think everybody would have still been very hesitant. He's a broken man. I think he now, hopefully he now gets the time off that he needs. And, we wish him well for the future, but it just didn't work. It was a nice fairy tale on paper, Norfolk boy and, Norwich fan of, in his childhood, etc. It was a nice fairy tale on paper. But as we've seen time and again, those that have got any kind of affiliation to the club to come in and manage them, it never works.
The feeling is really strong, James, isn't it, between Norwich fans of what should happen next? I mean, Adam says, I think everyone's united. Get Ben Knapper out of this effing club. Do not let him appoint someone else. And we've got 2 weeks now for the international break, haven't we? And you'd expect that starting Monday, the club is searching for the new manager, but that ultimately falls to Ben Knapper. Do you think? What do you expect to happen in the next coming days? He will stay in post, and we'll just hear another announcement in a couple of weeks.
I mean, I generally have no idea what the next 2-3 days will offer, to be honest, and I don't think they necessarily do. Just going back, I felt sorry for Manning quite a lot, but yesterday was probably the first time where he did just get it wrong, the substitutions. but the hate these last few weeks has all been on Knapper. There is no trust from any fan at this club to Knapper. I don't think anyone can say that Knapper will get the next appointment right. In my opinion, there has to be change there as well, or at least get a couple of external people in as well to help Knapper make this decision potentially. Last week we were chatting about, CEOs coming in and more experience. I'd like to think they've maybe been eyeing up a couple of managers already. Are they waiting for Farker to potentially leave Leeds maybe? Are we already chatting to Gary O'Neill? Who knows what's going on? I said, we've got 2 weeks, but we need this next decision we make is massive for this club.
We'll look at the betting odds in a second, Matty, but what are you hearing around the club in terms of fans' go-to wish on this?
Honestly, it seems so mixed. I've heard people throw some Martin's name about still. Gary O'Neill, obviously, getting the mention. Michael Carrick. I know we're not in a position to necessarily be, beggars can't be choosers, as it were. We're second bottom in the league. We're actually, in terms of form, I think we're probably equal or maybe even worse in terms of form than Sheffield Wednesday. I can't remember, but we should still be a fairly attractive club to a half decent manager. So I would like to think we can go and get someone, who's ambitious and has got good aspirations. But I hesitate to comment too much because none of the names that I've seen linked actually inspire me, to be honest. And I know Tom differs on that one where Gary O'Neill's concerned in terms of the number of games in the Premier League, but none of them are. Yeah, and as for Farker, no, I never go back. I love the man; he's a legend. He's not even been sacked from Leeds yet, so I wouldn't put him in the sentence. So I know I've not answered your question, Mark, but there's a lot of chat. But
yeah, get off that fence, Matty. I think Gary O'Neill. I think for me, it's the obvious one. Like I know people say, "Oh, we don't want him," but if you look at the options on paper, you got Gary O'Neill, we've got Michael Carrick, Brendan Rodgers' name has come. I'm sure Mark will get there in a second in the betting odds. Russell Martin. You look at Gary O'Neill and you go, okay, he's managed 100 games in his managerial career, but they're all in the Premier League, and he's never got a side relegated from the Premier League. Whether he's left before they could have gone down or not is another matter. But, Carrick took a Middlesbrough side and galvanised them, and then they fell off and he got sacked. But for me, Gary O'Neill, he's been picking and choosing the right job, and it'd be interesting to know whether he had an inkling that Manning was going to be getting his marching orders when he turned the Wolves job down last week. But I think looking at what's available at this moment in time, I think Gary O'Neill for me is the most obvious choice. Has anyone got any other? Thoughts?
I think you're right. The only hesitation, I guess, is that link to the club to an extent. But Matt's right. We're not really in a position where we can have the right to choose. We're 23rd. We've spent 55 million. The players' confidence is shock. There's so much divide within the club. I think it will take a brave man to come here, but I also think it will. What we need is someone to galvanise these players. And I think, I mentioned it last week. I was watching the Man City game earlier. Pep is that legend. That,
you can't have him, mate. I'm sorry.
You know what? I know. But you want something that has that. He will get behind the players. That was how O'Neill played. He was dirty. He fought hard for every team he played for. He had a bit of a record for sendings off and whatnot. But I think Michael Carrick is all right. I think Gary O'Neill is all right. Just not Russell Martin.
Yeah, the person I'd like to see, and I know he's on the betting list, but way down, and probably will end up nowhere close to us, is Robbie Keane. I think he's done a phenomenal job at Tel Aviv. He's now done the same in Hungary. And he's a recognised goal scorer, and we are really crying out for goals.
We're going to play up front.
Starting, yeah.
Line him up.
Are you slightly worried because you've got Southampton and Middlesbrough now looking for coaches, and both of them are slightly more attractive for different reasons. Middlesbrough, obviously, their position. Obviously, Gibson is famous for giving coaches time, of course. Southampton have got, the players, the pedigree there, and obviously the money as well. So, do you kind of think that of the three, a manager looking at it, you currently, not historically, but currently where the club is at, are the weaker of the three options?
I think that's fair.
I'd put
And I
us
think
maybe in the middle. Yeah.
I think that says a lot. Like we spent a lot of money in the summer, but so far that's not gone anywhere. And yeah, part of that's down to I think the head coach and his tactics. But yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? Where if there's one club that you're gonna think is an easier job, it's certainly Middlesbrough out of the three of them, and maybe Southampton because they have a slightly higher pedigree of players. So it does put us in a really tricky position, I think.
Okay.
I do think Southampton have got the expectation of. Sorry, I was going to say, I do think Southampton have got the expectation that we don't at the moment, and that is to go back up. I think we are now season 4 of the Championship, not on Netflix, but we are season 4 of the Championship, and I think it's like Southampton expect to go up. To be fair, Middlesbrough will hope a new man comes in and continues the good work that Rob Edwards did and takes them somewhere near it. So actually, we couldn't have got any worse. I think, barring Sheffield Wednesday not having a point deduction, we couldn't have got any worse. So actually maybe flip it on its head. That might take the pressure off it for someone coming in, that actually there's a very low bar set.
It could be seen as an opportunity almost for someone to come in and say, wow, I've turned this team, from Liam Manning, who always did all right at Bristol and Oxford, I've turned this team to survival and then kick on. If you want him to have a bit of a project and I guess put your name out there, actually, Norwich is, and also, you always talk about geography. Middlesbrough's miles away. We're only 2 hours from London. That family aspect as well. That's always been something that's probably attractive for players and managers. But all 3 teams are attractive clubs for their different reasons. But I think we said it's a huge decision. Whatever it is, it's massive.
Let's have a look at the favourites then, according to the bookmakers. I'll read these because it's a bit small, obviously, on the screen. Gary O'Neill is top favourite. 6-4 on. Brendan Rodgers, second favourite. Michael Carrick. Russell Martin is 4th in line for it. If Steven Gerrard gets the job, I'm sorry I can't sit here and talk to you about
this podcast. Steven Gerrard gets the job.
Steven Gerrard gets the job. Oh my God! Carlos Gobrin is about to be sacked in Valencia. He did that, of course, well with West Brom and others. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's on there. Robbie Keane, 20-1, might be worth a flutter. Ralph Hasenhuttl, opposite Southampton. Eric Ten Hag, God, is on there. I don't know. Alex Ravel, who's obviously down in League One at the moment. Who's doing very well there. Scubala, whose name comes up as well, who's done well with Lincoln. Mark Robbins, Wayne Rooney's on there, and Damien Duff.
Where do they get these names from at times?
I know. Right. Any names on there, Killian, that stick out for you? You mentioned Robbie Keane, but any others that excite you on there?
I don't think we get him, but I think Brendan Rodgers would be an interesting one.
Yeah, do you think he's got the attitude of he's bigger than the Championship?
He may be, but obviously he's not working.
Does he need to work though? Is the question, I suppose.
He probably does. He probably doesn't. But he did a good job at Leicester, I thought. He's got good pedigree. It'll be an interesting one for the East Anglian derby if he did get it. The 2 managers against each other.
Yeah. Any other names on there stick out for anyone?
I was going to say, I hope we've learned. I don't know, it's Norwich, but I hope we've learned from the past where we went and got Dean Smith after we sacked Farker because he was just available, and he'd obviously just come out of a job. And I hope that when we look at some of the managers that we're being linked with, and probably Brendan Rodgers falls straight into line with this one, that we don't just go and get someone because they've just left the job. And I know you can say, God, you really are beating that Gary O'Neill drum, but he has had the time out. You know what I mean? I think even sort of, Hasenhuttl or somebody that's had time out to sort of recalibrate and reflect and sort of go again. I think even if and I don't think we should go back to Farker. I think he would just tarnish his record, and I think it would just be a disaster. But even if he was available, it would only be because he's just left a job. And I don't think I think we need to go and get someone that's had that sort of time out, or we go and get someone.
That's the question.
Am I Gary O'Neill's agent?
Who's your friend you're with in Dubai, out of interest?
I'm Gary O'Neill's personal driver after his driving plan.
Oh, shut up.
I think also just on the Farke was Farke. Yeah, he's a very good manager, but I think also his relationship with Stuart Webber helped him out a lot as well. And would he have the same relationship with Ben Knapper? Brendan Rodgers, has he got the motivation to come to a 23rd place Championship team? Probably not.
Okay. In the chat, then, let us know who you would prefer as the next Norwich City manager, and we'll read some of these out, of course, next week. We're at the letter F in our alphabet, and because of that, we're looking at the Fair Play League. Where do you think Norwich sit in the Fair Play League based on what you've watched? Do you think you've been a particularly dirty side so far?
We've been very challenging,
giving a lot of points away.
I mean, you look at the team; it should be a relatively solid, dirty-ish team. With the likes of your Duffy, your Darlings, Medic, Topic. But actually, I think we're incredibly easy to play against on that physicality side. Yeah,
you're seventh in the 28 yellow cards, 2 red cards. So you are pretty. You have been pretty dirty in the tackle. Does that surprise you?
He said he wanted Norwich to be a bit nasty, and then Jacob Wright chucks a tackle in, and he's not seen a game of football since. It's just like, and I think for all of the sympathy we give Manning, we do have to give him that bit of criticism that, and the one person that's probably rejoicing off the fact that Manning's been sacked is Jacob Wright, because he's not played more than 10 minutes for us since that red card, and I think he deserves another shot. But it's another thing.
And he's created the most chances, has he not? Despite that,
still, we're in November. That was an August stat, and we're still there.
We just say massive thank you to everyone who's obviously subbed and commented on the channel. I mean, lots of love for you three and you four last week, of course, as well. So thank you so much for that. We'll finish with the A to Z this week. I can feel a different vibe coming here. We've had a lot of negativity, haven't we? But I feel like there's. Do you feel like there's an air has breezed through after the weekend now, and it feels like there's a reset going on? Or Matty, will you not feel like that until Knapper's gone as well?
Yeah, I was just about to say that, Mark. Like, I think it's one down and 2, maybe 3 more to go, because it feels, and I know that might sound entitled or a bit bold to say, but Knapper, as Hastings said earlier, like, is he the right man to pick the next appointment? I think there's a lacking in confidence amongst Norwich fans that he is. Zoe Webber is not well liked at the club and has made people's life hell, and was behind the JHT sacking. And then what does Neil Adams do? I think Tom mentioned that on the pod a couple of weeks ago, maybe. And I know what's going on, Neil. So I honestly think that we need a bit of a reset, and I think there's a few more need to go. But yeah, it is a slight positive. It's never nice when someone loses the job, especially given how, as Tom just said, he looked a broken man, and he has done for a while. But yeah, and this is hopefully a turning point, Mark, in certainly this season at least.
Okay. Right, let's jump straight into this then. Letter F, please. Open discussion. You don't have to do one each. Who should get in for F?
Sure, there's only one.
The obvious one's got to be Fashanu, right?
I'd say Farke might be one.
There is that. Yeah.
Possibly Farke was be mine.
Yeah.
However, though, if we're going to draw parallels to our 2009 season, maybe we should go with Mark Fotheringham.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
The Fozzie flick.
Nice, easy one this week. And yeah, Daniel Farke. He's in trouble at Leeds. I don't know if you've seen, but yeah, the Leeds fans want him out. There's corner flag pictures going up everywhere for Twitter following the loss. So maybe he'll jump into the betting odds at some point this week. Who knows? Right. Thank you very much, you for hanging on with us this week. Thank you very much, of course, for watching. Do drop us a quick subscribe and a like if you've just come across the channel. 20 minutes of Norwich chat. When we see you again in 2 weeks' time, we'll review the Birmingham game, of course, and who knows, we might have Gary O'Neill in the dugout to make Tom very happy. See you then.